Today we are going to get chicken soup pressure canned and on our shelf. So you probably would go and buy chicken noodle soup from the store, not chicken soup. But the problem with pressure canning your chicken soup with the noodles already in it is your noodles are going to get very, very mushy and they'll fall apart when you reheat it up. So what I do is can the chicken soup first, which is everything that would go in the chicken noodle. And then when you're ready to use that soup, all you got to do is boil some noodles and add it to your soup and heat it up on the stove and you're ready to go. So we're going to first take 3 cups of diced chicken and I'm going to throw it here in my pot. Now I'm going to take this over to my stovetop and I want to cook it so that it's cooked all the way through. Okay, now that my chicken is all cooked through, I'm just going to add my veggies that I had diced up while it was cooking, some salt and pepper to taste, and my chicken stock. So this is only as healthy as the ingredients that you put into it. And so getting a really good homemade chicken bone broth into this soup makes it that much healthier. Okay, so you're going to need 16 cups of chicken broth. This is 8 cups, and then I'll fill up another one of these. And now I'm just going to add in veggies. So I have 1.5 cups of diced celery. This is just frozen celery I buy on Azure Standard. And then I have 1.5 cups of diced carrots and 1 cup of diced onions. Now I'm just going to salt and pepper my soup to taste. And I'm going to get it back on my stovetop, bring it to a boil, and let it boil for 30 minutes before I fill my jars. Okay, my soup has been boiling for about 30 minutes. Now I'm going to go ahead and get it into my jars. The easiest way to do this so you don't get all liquid is to fill each of your jars with some of the vegetables and chicken first. You're obviously going to get some liquid in with it, but kind of put a scoop through each one. That way you don't get down to the last jar and you don't have anything left. So I just kind of do a scoop of the veggies in each one. And then I'll keep adding to each one as I go. You're looking for a 1-inch headspace. Now remember, you do want quite a bit of liquid in each of these jars because you're going to add noodles to it and it's going to be your soup. Or you can add rice to it for a chicken and rice soup once you are ready to eat them. So you do want to just make sure you get chicken and veggies in each jar. I'm filling 8 pint-sized jars. You could also do this in 4 quart-sized jars. Okay, so that gave me a little bit in each one. So now I'm just going to go back through and do some more chicken and veggies in each jar. And then I'll top it off with the rest of the liquid. Okay, now that I got all my jars filled, I'm just going to go ahead and stick this tool down in each jar. Make sure to get out any air bubbles. Then I'm going to take this clean towel here that I have just with some water and wipe the rims of each of my jars. You want to make sure and get out any food particles off the rims of your jars or you won't get a proper seal. Okay, now I'm going to take my lids here and cap each of my jars. And then take my rings and screw them down fingertip tight. That just means when you hit resistance, you're going to go ahead and stop. You don't want to crank them down too hard. Now we are ready to get these hot jars into our canner. Okay, now that all of my jars are in here, I have several inches of water in there, and they are just about halfway up the jars. You do not need your jars to be submerged when you are pressure canning. Now I'm going to go ahead and slide my lid into place. I have my weighted gauge on because I do not need to vent it. The Denali canning tanker has its automatic vent here in the handle, and so it will vent itself and then seal itself off and begin to build pressure. I have my stove on to about 5 right now, which is medium heat, and it'll vent itself, seal off, and build as pressure. Once it reaches pressure, I will go ahead and process these jars for 75 minutes because they are pint-sized jars. If you were using quart-sized jars, you would go ahead and do 90 minutes. Okay, the time went off, and I went ahead and turned my stovetop off, and now the canner is coming down to 0 all on its own, and I'm going to let it come all the way down to when my dial gauge reads 0, and then I will go ahead and wait 20 minutes or longer. I always find that the longer that it sits, the easier the lid comes off and just all around better it is. So even if you walk away for a couple of hours, once your stovetop is off, just let it sit for a couple of hours and it'll actually be easier to get them out of the canner. After it's cooled down completely and released all of the pressure, and you've waited a minimum of 20 minutes, once it reaches 0, I'll go ahead and take my lid off and remove my jars. They will sit on this towel with all the rest of my foods for about 12 to 24 hours till they're completely cooled. I'll check seals, remove the rings, wipe down all the jars, label them with the contents and the year, and they're ready to go on my shelf and be used as just a chicken soup, chicken and rice soup, or chicken and noodle soup whenever you need it.